WATD presents John Paul, the Car Doctor. All things automotive. Have questions? Call or text 781-837-4900. Now, here's John Paul, the Car Doctor.
And good Sunday morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. My name's John Paul, the Car Doctor, here to help you with your car problems, suffering from, allergies or something, pollen. Still a lot of pollen around, which is probably a good reminder to go, after it all settles down, go look in your cabin air filter in your car and see if it's all full of pollen. If it is, take it out, throw it away, and buy a new one. I've become sort of enlightened, I guess, with some of the new pollen filters that have... Well, I just got a email. We're waiting for somebody from the Packard Club, Craig Hanley, to call in, and I just got a text message from the PR person at the Providence Convention and Visitor Center, that's what it's called, and said waiting for Craig to call in. And I gave her the phone number, the special guest line phone number, and she sent me back a little heart. I don't know what that means.
Usually true love.
Is that what it is? I have an idea. How about have the guy call in? And he was going to call in because he is the president of the Packard Club. And Packard Automobile has been around, they were right up there with Cadillac and, some people think Rolls-Royce and LaSalle and all kinds of stuff. And the 59th annual national meet is going to take place in July in Providence. So I thought it'd be kind of a fun thing to talk about. And it's going to be July 15th from 10 to 3. And we'll wait and see if Craig Hanley calls in. She just texted me back and said, just gave him a reminder. I don't know what that means, but good that she did. So we'll see what happens. Next week, in theory, I'm supposed to be doing my program from downtown Hyannis at the Father's Day Car Show, but that's a little bit of a mystery too, because the person that was kind of working with me to set it up, I called and left him a message last, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, something like that. Said, hey, just want to check in, see if we're all good to go. We need to make sure we have a computer line that I can hook up to so I can hook up my equipment so I can be there, and haven't heard back. So I don't know what's going on. Everybody, fortunately, Jesse still talks to me, I think.
I do. I look forward to it.
Yeah. But, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens here. Well, normally what we do is we usually have our guest, and then I'll do some sort of a review about something. So I'll do the car review part now. How's that? This week's car review is a little bit different because I'm also considering buying a new car. Well, I need to buy a new car because we have an old Volkswagen that sits here, and we have another old Volkswagen that's only got 34,000 miles on it that sat in Florida. Well, I left my Hyundai Santa Fe in Florida. I drove the 2015 Volkswagen Beetle home. That will become sort of this car that will stay here. The older Volkswagen Beetle, which was... It's weird that we have two Volkswagens. It wasn't intentional. It just was a good deal. That's why we got it. But I'm looking to get a new vehicle to have to go back and forth with. As it turns, the vehicle I'm looking at is a Hyundai Tucson because it's about the same size as my old Santa Fe. It'll be comfortable for my wife to drive it when she wants to because she didn't mind driving the other one. But in this case, my road test car is a Hyundai Santa Cruz. Well, the Santa Cruz, if you don't know what it is, it's a truck for people that don't know they need a truck. Think El Camino or Ranchero. So sort of half car, half truck. The difference is this little ute is a four-door. It's built on the Tucson platform. So the Hyundai Santa Cruz, in this case, has a 2.5-liter turbocharged engine, and I think it, quietly sort of looks at what people think they need. On paper, it's a compact truck. In practice, it feels more like a little SUV, a crossover, with kind of extra capability, especially when compared to the vehicle that I'm thinking about buying, which is a Hyundai Tucson. And mine, I'm not going with the turbocharged engine because I don't think, more power is always good, but I don't know that I need to spend the money on a turbocharged engine. So I don't think I need to do that. Let's start with the Santa Cruz's turbocharged engine. Let's see what that is. It produces 281 horsepower and a pretty hefty 311 foot-pounds of torque. It transforms into what could have been kind of a mild-mannered utility vehicle into something that's pretty quick. Press the accelerator and the dual-clutch transmission, so it's not a CVT. It's not a conventional transmission. It's a dual-clutch, and it pops through the gears really well. When you step on the gas, it takes off. It does good. The engine I'm looking at in the Tucson is the same 2.5-liter engine, but it makes 100 horsepower less. It's 187 horsepower, which is, I think, 10 more than my Santa Fe, and 178 foot-pounds of torque. It delivers the power more gradually. It's around town, certainly good. Cruising on the highway, climbing grades. It lacks the urgency maybe that the Santa Cruz still has, but it's still fine. Yet speed isn't the whole story. With the Santa Cruz, really kind of, I think, makes its place by combining decent performance with the practicality of an open bed. It's shorter than a traditional truck. I have it. I went and got 10 bags of mulch. That was kind of nice to be able to put it back there and just sweep it out afterwards. You might not do that inside a SUV. You might. I have a cargo tray in mine, so it's been known to carry all kinds of dirty stuff in there and then take the cargo tray out and wash it out. What's kind of nice, too, is this has a couple of interesting features. It has a roll-top cargo cover, which rolls all the way up. It's a fully opens cargo cover, so you don't have to undo anything or roll anything. It doesn't flutter in the wind. But it also has a lockable underbed storage compartment. If you've ever seen the Honda pickup truck, similar idea with that. So it's kind of nice. You almost don't even know it's there until you go looking for it. So you can lock the bed, lock the cargo underbed storage compartment. Makes it kind of nice. Here's where it doesn't feel like a truck. It feels comfortable. It's efficient. It's quiet. Inside, the cargo area is nice. Fold down the rear seats. If you get a nice flat floor. The interior is, of the two, are nearly identical. They work out really well. Fuel economy is where the Tucson gained some ground. Without the added boost and drivetrain demands. The Tucson's more efficient. The Santa Cruz, maybe 25 miles per gallon. The Tucson remains the better pure crossover. Simpler, it's more efficient, it's arguably more practical for traditional daily use. But the Santa Cruz adds this kind of unexpected layer of freedom. I mean, you got muddy bikes you want to put back there. You've been camping, you want to throw all your tents and stuff all in the back. You don't have to worry about stuff getting dirty. You just hose it all out afterwards. So it's a good vehicle. In fact, somebody I know had one. They got rid of it because they were towing a big trailer, and then they decided they didn't want the trailer anymore, and they went out and bought another Santa Cruz because they liked it so much. So the question is, do I buy a Santa Cruz or a Tucson? We'll have to wait and see. I think I'm leaning towards Tucson, but the Santa Cruz is really good. And if you're looking for sort of that half car, half truck that's mostly car, when you're driving it, it's mostly car. You wouldn't know anything different. But when you want to be able to throw something in the back, the Santa Cruz is a pretty good option. Our phone number is 781-837-4900, 781-837-4900. Let's talk to Walter in Wareham. Walter, good morning.
Walter hung up.
Walter hung up. Oh, all right. Well, too bad for Walter. And no word from our guest, I guess?
No, not yet.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll wait and see. Someone wrote to me and said, I have a Toyota Corolla. I recently had the steering wheel warning light come on intermittently. Steering wheel warning light, along with a battery light. What should I ask when I bring it in to have it checked out? The Corolla uses electric power steering, like a lot of cars today, rather than a belt-driven hydraulic pump. Chances are it's pure electrical. Probably the battery's just going dead. The alternator's bad. Could be a slipping belt, something along those lines. I would just explain exactly what you see and what you feel to the repair shop. They'll check for trouble codes, but I would be suspicious that battery voltage is low. Either the alternator's not doing what it should anymore, maybe the alternator belt's slipping. What I have seen in the past on some Toyota vehicles, not the Corolla so much, but more the Highlander, is the harmonic balancer pulley actually starts to slip. The rubber insulator between the two parts slips, and in certain weather, it'll actually slip around the inside and the outside part of the pulley, and all of a sudden you'll lose a little bit of power steering. The alternator light will come on, that kind of stuff. So, could be that. Let's talk to Tom from Kingston. Always like talking to Tom. Tom, good morning.
Good morning. So the vehicles you're talking about, you said something about a double clutch. What does that mean?
It's sort of a manual transmission that shifts automatically. So it uses two manual clutches that are, through the magic of computers and, I don't know, magic elves or something, they're able to shift one gear or another. So it's basically a manual transmission with two electronic clutches that make it all work. What's interesting about it is, and this was
okay, wait a minute. Do you have to touch it?
No, you don't do anything. You wouldn't even know it. Yeah, so it's basically similar to something as exotic as a Ferrari transmission to something as plain as transmission you find in a Volkswagen. So it's called sometimes called a DSG transmission, but it's a dual clutch style automatic. So where it can get a little bit funny, if you're somebody who's, say you're parked on a little bit of a hill and you're not on the brake, but you're lightly holding the gas pedal, it's basically like riding the clutch in a standard transmission, and you can actually overheat the clutch and wear the clutch out. Ooh. So you have to be a little, but you wouldn't know that unless you did it. But other than that, it feels perfectly normal. Shifts are good. It's sort of a different. It's better than, in my opinion, better than a typical CVT, the continually variable transmission.
Yeah.
I prefer this over that, but some of them are good, some of them are not as good. Volkswagen had a really good one. Ford, in their Focuses, used a dual clutch transmission. They worked good for like the first year, and then they had all kinds of problems after.
So that was my next question. How long has it been around?
20 years maybe, and probably longer. Yeah. It's almost, and it isn't, but way back in the 60s, you could buy a Volkswagen Beetle with a semi-automatic transmission. And what it was, you put it in low gear. It only had 2 speeds, basically. But you put it in drive or drive low, and you just stepped on the gas and drove away. But then when you put your hand on the shifter, it would actually disengage the clutch, and then you'd shift into the second gear, high gear.
Oh,
and it was kind of the same version of that, only this is in a much more modern setup with many more gears. So, you could say it's been around for 60 years, and maybe even longer, I don't know. But in its latest configuration, been around since the mid-2000s, I guess.
Now, your choices of the two vehicles you're talking about, are you talking brand new?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. I think so. Although it's,
remember how people talk, they say you buy brand new, what happens?
Yeah, I know. First 30,
good.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah. And you kind of almost filled in the next words. The frugal part of me says, do I really need brand new? Can I get away with, a former Enterprise rent-a-car that's got 45,000 miles on it, that's a 2025, that I can buy for $10,000 less?
And you know something? I bought Enterprises for many years.
Yeah.
They were great. I don't know what it was about them.
No.
A friend of mine told me, "Oh, Tom, go ahead, get down there." They had a place over in Hanover.
Yep.
And
now you got to go to Norwood, but not that far. But it's one of those things that I'm thinking about it, but I sort of went back in my memory and thought about cars that I bought new and cars that I bought used, and reliability-wise, the car that my wife had before this one was a PT Cruiser convertible. We bought it from S&E Auto Sales over in Weymouth. It was a former, I'm making it up, dollar rent-a-car, budget rent-a-car, something that only had 6,000 miles on it.
Whatever, yeah.
And it was fine. It was good, until it wasn't, when it got into a car crash. And then the Hyundai Santa Fe that I owned in '07, I put a lot of miles on that, driving it back and forth to Providence, Rhode Island, and from Abington to here on the Cape, and it was always a solid, dependable car for 10 years, and then the steering rack started to leak, and that was normal after 10 years, but that was the one big expense I had with it.
Right.
And I sold it to a woman I worked with, and I think I sold it to her. It had a bunch of miles on it by then, but I sold it to her for, say, $4,000. And she said, "Well, I want to bring it to my mechanic and have it checked out." I'm like, "Well, of course, go ahead." So I gave her the car, and she had it checked out, and she came back, and she said, "Well, you know how you always say replace tires when they get down to 4/32 of tread, not the 2/32. That car's going to need tires soon." I said, "Well, it's funny you say that, because I have a brand new set of Michelin tires that if I kept the car, I was going to fix them. I was going to put them on there." And I said, "But as it turned out, I decided to replace the car instead, and I have these tires." And I said, "I'll sell you the tires separately from the car, so it doesn't change, whatever you have to pay for tax or whatever." And she was fine.
Sure.
And about 2 weeks before I was going to give her the car, the air conditioner stopped working. I think I wanted $5,000. I said, "I'll tell you what, I'm going to sell it to you for $4,000." But the air conditioner stopped working. But I recharged it, and I put some magic air conditioner stuff in there. I said, "It's freezing cold now. It's working just the way it should." I said, "I don't know if it's going to last through the summer. It's going to last through the week. I don't know." Well, she had a couple little minor problems with the car while she had it, and she used to, see her in the hallway at work, and she would say, "Oh, that car you sold me." And I said, "What's wrong?" "Well, the ABS light came on." I went, "Well, could be a wheel sensor or whatever." And then about a year after owning the car, she said to me, "I don't know about those tires you sold me. They're all worn out." And I said, "What do you mean they're all?" They were Michelin, it was like $1,200 worth of tires that you bought for like $300 or $400 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Oh, they're all worn out." And then she sends me a picture a couple days later of the car all smashed up. And I said, "What happened?" "My daughter was driving it, and she was texting while she was driving, and she ran into the back of a landscape truck." And she said, "The good news is," well, no, she laughed too. And she said, "The good thing is she was driving that car and not my Toyota Corolla, because if you're driving the Corolla, she probably would have got killed. The back of the truck was probably even with the windshield." She said, "This way it just kind of smushed the front of the car and the engine and totaled the car." So she sends me the insurance form that she filled out.
Okay.
And I looked at it and I said, "No wonder why this car needs tires. You drove it 52,000 miles in a year." I said, how did you even do that? She said, well, we got 3 kids in college, and every time we went to go move somebody, we grabbed that because it was bigger than any other car we owned, and my husband would use it for work when he had to go do stuff. And
yeah, they were crappy tires.
yeah, they were crappy tires that went 52,000 miles. And the kind of thing she laughed about when it was all done,
yeah,
she got something like $6,500 for the insurance settlement.
Wow.
So she paid $4,000 or something for the car, an extra few $100s for tires, and she ended up making money. So I said, so this was a pretty good car in the end, right? And she said, yeah, it was. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So
just quickly, we had a friend of ours. She had a Ford Taurus.
Yep.
She paid $800 for it, and she got hit from behind that pushed her into a UPS truck.
Mm-hmm.
And the insurance company wanted to give her what she paid for it 2 years ago, $800.
Yeah, yep.
And she says, Tom, it's a good deal, right? And didn't lose any money. I said, no. I said, can I take over? Can I pretend to be your husband? And I called up the insurance company. She ended up getting $2,200.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the insurance companies' jobs are to pay as little as they can whenever they can. So there's always room for negotiation with insurance companies.
Yeah,
so.
And the adjuster says, we know there's French fry stains on the glass and the seat.
Yeah.
I said, you know why? He said, why? I said, she has grandchildren.
Yeah. Well,
So-
and that's the funny part. When we had that guy on from, I can't think of the name of the company, but would work with people when they got insurance settlements, and they automatically put in, oh, it was a smoker's car, whether it was or it wasn't. It all of a sudden became a smoker's car.
Yeah.
So it was that it's one of those things that the insurance companies again try to just
Sure.
get as little money, pay out as little money as possible.
So a week from today, what do we have? Summer will arrive.
A week from today, it's Father's Day.
Yeah.
I might be doing my program from downtown Hyannis. I still don't know yet. We'll wait and see on that. That should be fun and nerve-wracking at the same time because you always wonder whether everything's going to work. And my radio equipment works perfectly, but it's not really designed for mobile applications. It's more designed to be in one spot. And I can make it work, I think. But I want to go test it. But I need to talk to the guy who's trying to set all this up. And, I've never done as Jesse pointed out, every week I do the program, it's pretty much a remote broadcast because I do it from home. But
Right.
I've never done an actual out in public remote broadcast with WATD in the 4 or 5 years I've been here now. So, when I was at, WROL, did that a few times. When I was at, WJDA, did that a few times. Even their sister station up in WESX up in Salem, I did a program remotely from there a couple times, but haven't done anything with WATD. So I kind of want to do it to see how it will work. But I'll be up all night if it actually goes through. So
I need a little cooperation at the other end. That's all.
Well, it's and again just a technical cooperation too. Make sure stuff's going to work the way it should. So
Right.
that's
right.
always my a little behind the scenes of stuff. But we got Jesse in the control room. It's all going to be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now these two cars, have you tested them as far as height wise?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. No, I'm
Good.
driving the Santa Cruz now,
Okay.
and it's good. Like I said yesterday, I went to the Agway store, a few miles away. Got a bunch of pine bark mulch, threw it in the back. Didn't worry so much if a bag was leaking because I just came home and then swept it out. So,
Good.
and size wise, last night we neighbors of ours said, "Oh, we want to go out to dinner with you," and nice of them. They actually paid for dinner, which I didn't expect at all. And we went to a very exotic Cape Cod place, the 99.
Yes.
Yeah, the 99 in Yarmouth is actually always good. But anyway, we went there, and he was driving his Chevy pickup truck that's only a regular cab, and he goes, well, we have to go in your car, and I said, well, that's fine. And put 4 people in it. It was comfortable for 4 people. I moved the front seat up a little bit so they had plenty of leg room, and it was all good. So so it rides good, it handles good. The 2.5 turbo engine, more power than I need because I don't really care as much about that, but it is nice to have it. The Tucson I'm looking at, cheaper vehicle price-wise, non-turbo engine, which reliability-wise, they're probably both about the same, but in my head I'm thinking non-turbo might be a little bit more reliable. And
what's the price range for those vehicles?
The Tucson is in all-wheel drive. They start around $32,000, and they can go up to you can go up to way more. Up in the 40s, I guess, if you got the fancy version.
And front-wheel drive.
And front-wheel drive, not that much cheaper, $1,500 cheaper. And you can't. If I was in Florida, I could buy a front-wheel drive version. Here up in the Northeast, nobody has them. They're just not available because nobody really, the little bit of money difference, the $1,200 or whatever it is difference between front wheel and all-wheel drive isn't worth having the dealers keep them in stock and sitting on it if nobody wants it. So, and the Santa Cruz, the one I'm driving is a Santa Cruz Limited, so top of the line, full everything stuff. That one is $45,000, but they start in the mid-30s. So if you don't want the turbo, if you don't want the medium sage gray paint, which only comes in like the limited or the SEL package, I think. This has a little bit nicer dash setup. Just it's a little bit better, a little bit fancier, dual climate controls and all that sort of stuff. But you could probably buy a decent one with everything you'd really want in it for probably, high 30s.
Oh, that's nice.
Or you could go to Enterprise and you could buy a used one for $25.
If you were younger, I'd say go to Enterprise.
Yeah.
But I say, right now at this time of life, I think I get new.
Yeah. Well, I had to go to Middleborough this week to actually pick this car up, and I stopped at the Hyundai dealer in Plymouth. And said, I'm just curious. I said, the other thing is AAA is a vendor for Hyundai, so we get some kind of deal. And it's not it's because the base model vehicles there's not a lot of profit in those. So, but I just wanted to say, I got this certificate that says I can buy it for $31,500. How much of a hassle is it dealing with the dealership? And the sales lady was very nice, but she kind of, she acted like a salesperson. I mean, she did her job. Right. And I said, well, I just want to know, do you honor this price? Here's the certificate. And what will it cost me going out the door? And the one thing that still continues to bother me to this day is dealer documentation fee. And it became popular 10 years ago, maybe even longer ago, and it used to only be a couple $100, and then all of a sudden it's $300, $400, $595 at the Hyundai dealer in Plymouth, $895 at the Hyundai dealer in Fall River. And it's where they're real profit. And they're like, we need to do it, paper. I'm like, it's just somebody came up with this idea. And in New York, as an example, the dealers can't charge more than $50 documentation fee. I'm not sure why some state rep hasn't filed legislation to limit documentation fee to like $100.
I know.
Other than dealers are probably pretty big contributors. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
When I went out to buy my vehicle, I shopped around all different places, Tanner Ford and all the Janelle Ford. I ended up going to Muzzy Ford. And at that time, they had the documentation fee and all that other stuff. I says, you're going to charge me that, take it off the price of the vehicle.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if we can do that. The song and dance they do, a little soft shoe.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, well, listen, I got to go back. I'm going over to Tanner Ford now.
Yep.
And they say, whoa, wait a minute.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's pre-printed on the sales agreement. Because if I went there and they charged me and they didn't charge you, then it becomes discriminatory sales. So they're discriminating, and they can get. That's why it's all pre-printed on their sales agreement. Now, can they take it off the price of the car somewhere else? Sure, they can. Now, it depends on how much money they make on the vehicle, whether they choose to do that or not. You know, some of these cars, you know, you look at the dealer invoice, you know, the MSRP, say for the Tucson, is $34,000. And the dealer invoice is $32,000. So in theory, if they sell it at sticker price, they're going to make $2,000. But you know, right now nobody's selling at sticker price. I mean, you know, during the middle of COVID, they were marking cars above sticker. But right now, you know, figure you're going to take maybe $1,000 off that price. So there's $1,000 profit in there. Now, you got to sell a lot of cars over the course of a month if you're only making $500 or $1,000 per car. And then in some cases, they're selling the cars at below sticker, below invoice, because there's incentives to get rid of them. Maybe they're adding other, you know, stuff like, I don't know, paint treatment that they're making money on, or maybe they're just financing the car at, you know, a few percent, you know, say they're financing the car at 4 or 5%. Well, as a dealer who does the financing, they get 1% of that. So, or a 0.5%, whatever the case is. So they make money during the financing part of the procedure too.
Yes.
So
true.
Yeah, so they can afford to sell the car at less they paid for it. And then if they're a really big high-volume dealership, they'll sell a car at a loss knowing that the car they sold before that they made a whole bunch of money on. So it really, you know, you can't sell stuff for less than you pay for it and make money at it. So, you know, it's just...
Well, you know, that's what they told me with the vehicle I bought when I went out there. Because when I talked to one of the other Ford dealerships, they said, no, they can't sell it to you for that price. They're losing money.
Yep.
So I said to the dealership over in Muzzy, I said, how are you doing that? He said, well, first of all, it's the end of the month, end of the year.
Yep.
And I told him I'm going to pay cash. I'm going to write you a check. Oh, no, you got to finance it. And then at the end of 30 days, get out of it.
Yeah. Yep.
And then I get a 3 and 36 warranty with the Ford. Well, we got to sell you one for 5-year 50. You know, 50,000 miles. Yeah, it's only $1,800. And it's like, no, thank you.
No,
do me a favor, take it, because this way we make some money.
Yeah.
Cancel it again within 30 days. We still get credit for it. So that's how they make their money.
Yeah, yeah. No,
the cool thing about that place, they gave me, the guy gives me a credit card. He goes, go across the street, fill up the tank with gas, and come on back, I'll have things ready for you. I said, great. I went over there, filled up with gas, I grabbed a package of candy and whatever else I wanted and put it on the credit card. And he goes, how'd you make out? And I told him what I did. And I said, I also filled up the back of the truck, in my pockets, everything else of gasoline. Yeah. But usually you leave the place with a quarter of a tank or less.
Yeah. You know? Yeah, it's. I'm looking at the invoice of the Santa Cruz, and it does come with a full tank of gas.
Nice.
It says Hyundai Pay, full tank of gas.
Yeah, that's really nice. They cleaned my license plate. They say, if you get another 20 minutes, we'll put a sticker on there, too.
Yeah.
So nice how the dealerships are working a little bit better.
And now there's no Muzzy, right?
Yeah, I know.
There you go. All right, Tom, always good to talk to you.
You have a good rest of the weekend.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Why don't we take a break, pay some bills? My name's John Paul. This is the Car Doctor program, and you're listening on 95.9 WATD. We'll be right back.
Even car geeks and do-it-yourselfers rely on AAA to give them extra peace of mind on the road. AAA offers 24/7 roadside assistance, whether you're in your own vehicle, a friend's car, or even a rental. Combine that with great rates on insurance, hotel, gas, and dining savings, and discounts on 8,700 brands, and you're covered on and off the road. Get a special membership offer today at AAA.com/join. That's AAA.com/join.
Hi, it's Zoe, personal stylist at Macy's. If you're like, what am I wearing on this trip? To this wedding, to brunch, your timing's perfect. Our best brands are all 30% off. I'll pull some great pieces that are made for you, so you'll show up confident, looking amazing. Plus, 15 off designer beauty and fragrance. Sign up for Star Rewards and earn even faster at Macy's Friends and Family. Going on now. Savings off regular and already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
This Father's Day, put the focus on Dad's happy place, his garage. Shop more ways to organize, more ways to build, and more ways to spend time together. With low prices guaranteed at the Home Depot. Get him a rolling toolbox or a wall-mounted organizer to keep it all in place. Or save on power tools like the Ryobi 2-tool driver drill combo kit for just $99. Make Father's Day about building something together with a little help from the Home Depot. Exclusions apply. See homedepot.com/price match for details.
Honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. He's John Paul, the Car Doctor, on 95.9 WATD.
And welcome back to the Car Doctor program at 95.9 WATD. Let's see, we're going to Mike in Bridgewater, I think. Mike, is that you?
It is me. Good morning, John.
It is. Good morning. Any word on your long-standing issues?
I wasn't actually calling about that. It's I was just at Lexus on Thursday. So the answer, So the answer is say maybe I'm still in the process of talking with Lexus themselves, which is interesting. And I want to belabor the point. As far as what's going on. And when I went National Highway and Traffic Safety, there's already some information there about other people that have put it in there. So, at this point, no, I thank you for asking about it. I do. It's part of this. I'm trying to take a break because the aggravation becomes interesting. Anyway, so maybe I'll if that's okay, I'll maybe a future call if that works for you.
All right.
That's
of
fine.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, with all this
up?
new talk, all this new car talk, sir, I always get excited about that. But I'm curious, would you add anything on, not necessarily from the dealer, but, paint protection, all those kinds of things they offer you. But then even more so, maybe, what about the AAA, the wheel package and the key fob package that all is there? Typically, if you get it at the dealership, it's maybe even less than half.
And I gotta check because last I knew, we weren't selling warranty packages in Massachusetts right now, and I'm not sure why.
Okay, well, thank you. I actually had called about that a couple of months ago because friends of ours had gotten in touch. Hey, I'll
and that was the case. So I don't know what happened. So, but anyway. No, I wouldn't buy paint protection. I wouldn't buy fabric protection, which is just on cloth seats. It's just Scotch Guard, basically. It comes in a, they use basically a garden sprayer and just spray the interior with it, and there you go. It's all and they make a lot of money on that stuff. Wheel and tire package. One of the reasons I don't think we're selling wheel and tire package in Massachusetts because the roads aren't that good. I think it ends up the claims are so high that it's not working out. But but I'm that's a guess on my part. But those add-on packages have lots of profit built into them, and I would rather go out and buy it myself. And even like Tom calling earlier when he said he bought something up at Muzzy and they told him to buy the extended warranty for 5 years. Well, that first 3 years the car's covered by the factory warranty, so you got the extended warranty that's covering 5 years including from day one, and the factory warranty that's covering 3 years from day one. So you're basically having like two insurance policies covering that first 3 year period, which is kind of dumb when you think about it. Wait until, at the end of the factory warranty, if the car's been a little bit lemonish, not been that solid, maybe at that point you go, maybe I should buy an extended warranty from either the dealer or AAA or somebody, and go from there. But if it's been a good quality car, I don't know that I would buy a warranty. If you were buying your a Lexus or something, generally they're perfect vehicles for a long period of time. Do you need to spend another $2,000 to get a couple of years worth of warranty out of it that you're probably never going to use? So, and paint protection, today there's so many easy ways to make sure your car is good and clean. Ceramic coating was kind of the end all of wax treatments. It was like ceramic coat your car, and now you can do a kind of a hybrid ceramic, and I think Mother's Products has one now. You wash your car, you get it all good and clean, and while the car's wet, you spray the stuff on it, and then you wash it off with a hose, and it actually sort of gives the car a little bit of a light ceramic coat. So, I don't think I'd spend, $2,000 to paint protect my car. And then there's all the nonsense things, electronic sensors that you connect up to things that's supposed to prevent rust. Those never work.
I bought the Rodent thing you plug in there, and it's supposed to, and as they're pulled, as $600 later because it ate the harness on the Lexus. That was I'm glad you said ceramics, because I went to one of I don't know if it was Boston Auto Show, Providence, whatever, and I got all the paraphernalia, ceramic coating, and it's expensive.
Oh yeah,
and
and to do it right, it used to come, the ceramic stuff used to come in a bottle about the size of a nail polish bottle, and it was that little bit of material, but you had to make sure you put it on correctly, and if you didn't put it on right, you would have some problems. And if you were trying to match paint later on in life, that's original ceramic coat. That could be a real issue when you were trying to repaint something. So you'd have to buff it all off and lightly sand it all off and get it off. Now, again, there's these sort of, they use the word ceramic in everything these days, but I don't know that you'd need it. So you talk to some folks that have had ceramic coatings applied to their cars, and they're like, yeah, it was expensive, but 10 years later the car still looks great. Usually with those people that say 10 years later the car looks great is because they take care of their cars to start off with.
Sure, absolutely. May I just share with you last, as far as this Lexus thing, if it should come down that I have to, pay for it and all that to get it fixed, it's like I said, $4,000, whatever. Yeah. I would consider maybe buying another vehicle. And Toyotas used to be, they're bulletproof. I've owned them since '78. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. But boy, I guess Hyundai and Kia have shown that they can stand up there. You think they're okay, even though when you look at the, it's always Lexus, Toyota, Honda.
Oh yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yep.
So
no, I think Honda makes fabulous products, and I'm stealing this from the old Honda, and Toyota PR guys. They're both, Honda and Toyota are both like belt and suspender companies. They sort of do everything twice to make sure that there's not really going to be problems. If I had to find a fault with any Honda product, some of their transmissions have been less than good, and they've had some transmission problems. But their engines have been solid. Even when they came out with their new low-emissions engine, they had some problems where the oil was getting diluted because the engine never really got hot enough to evaporate the moisture out of the engine, and they had to change some software changes for that. But overall, Honda makes good, solid products, and, of course, Acura is just a better version of that. Toyota makes good, solid products. They're very fussy about the quality. They had some issues, and I'm going to say 2009, 10, 11 Toyota products, you could see that they cut corners a little bit for whatever reasons. To thinned out wiring harnesses, and they weren't using as heavy a wire as they were doing, and there was some little bit of some problems, but the engines were still good. Now the new twin turbocharged V6 engines that's in a lot of the Toyota and Lexus products, some of those have had some problems, and where the old like Lexus V8 was solid as can be, some of these twin turbo engines have had some issues going on with bearings or something. Is that to be expected when all of a sudden you go from one engine design to another? It shouldn't be, but it sometimes happens. The good thing is Toyota typically stands behind all their stuff, and sometimes they do it quietly. They don't tell you. They just, yep. Oh, well, you were here. We put an engine in your car. We didn't tell you, but you're all set.
That's nice. Oh, they replaced the frame on the truck. Remember that whole thing?
Yeah, and that was and that was such a weird thing. People were dragging trucks out of junkyards, re-registering them to get Toyota to either buy them back or put a new frame in them. Because Toyota was buying the trucks back at like full retail value, so people were buying junkyard trucks for $1,000 and getting $9,000 back because they said, "Well, it's my truck and it's rotted out and the frame's bad." So, so you never know. And you talked about stuff that you would buy, undercoating. For the most part, factory cars are pretty rust proof. I've become a fan of this wax oil product, which is a undercoating spray. It's best when it's applied professionally, but I've done, I did the Volkswagen with it. I did the Hyundai with it. And I just, bought a couple of cans on Amazon and crawled under the car a couple of years ago and sprayed all under there. My Hyundai supposedly has an issue where the rear frame can get overly rusty. When I was changing the oil on the car in April or May, when I crawled under there, it still looks perfect. It doesn't look like. And is it because of the wax oil? Maybe, but I mean, either I live nearish the ocean here or nearish, salty water there. Doesn't look underneath. It looks good. So, is it the wax oil? Maybe. Is it because the factory car had some pretty good rust proofing? So, to spend at the dealer a couple $1,000s to have a car rust proofed, depending on the product, I wouldn't spend that money either.
Yeah, and the new car will get wax oil at some point, maybe that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, John. I know you got time for a break and all that, so thank you very much, and I appreciate you mentioning the Lexus. Maybe a few times down the road we'll talk again. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, take
Good
care,
day.
Tom. Bye. Well, I got a text message back from the person from the Convention Visitors Center. It says, I just left him a voicemail for him. I hope he's okay, but not sure why he wouldn't be calling in, so sorry to keep you waiting. So there you go. I don't know what happened to this guy, but things happen. That's all there is to it. Speaking of things happening, Jeep recalled over 1 million vehicles, 2021 to 2025. Wranglers and Gladiators are being recalled due to electrical connection issue in the power steering wiring that can cause a fire even when the engine's off. Owners are urgently advised to park these vehicles outside away from buildings until repaired. I always hate it when they say that. Actually, my Hyundai had a recall like that. It was an ABS issue, and it was a fuse that got wet or something. And all they did, they put a new fuse cover on it and stuck a new fuse in it. But it was, don't park it in the garage. Honda had 2 recalls this week, over 1 million vehicles, 1.05 million vehicles, including certain Honda Accord hybrids and CRVs, for defective tire repair kit bottles. And this one's kind of an odd one. They can detach from wherever they're stored and become projectiles. What? So they're going to go in and they're going to put like a piece of Velcro on it or something to keep that from happening. So you get into a crash. The tire inflation kit bottle flies around inside the vehicle and hits you in the head. I don't know if I'd call that a massive recall. I guess numbers-wise it's massive. Second, about 880,000 Honda and Acura vehicles from 2022 to 2025 in 23 states are recalled for rear subframes can corrode and fail. You hate this, that's a 1-year-old car in some cases, and I don't know, I guess. Ford had 2 notable recalls, kind of another goofy one. 548,000 Ford Expeditions for peeling chrome. Hard to know they have chrome. That poses an occupant safety issue. So, and it's chrome on like the center console. So I guess you put your arm down and you go, ow, and then it makes you drive off the road. And then there was another, in the words of Cars.com, massive action affecting over 4.5 million vehicles, F-150 Super Duty Ranger Maverick, for a software glitch that can cause trailer brakes and exterior lights to fail. Ford also recalled 250,000 Focus models for a stalling issue. And Chrysler recalled 17,000 Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrids are recalled over a possible battery defect that can cause a fire. If you own any of these vehicles, you might be getting a recall notice in the mail. But if you don't, but you're curious about recalls, you can go to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration website or download their app. If you have, any kind of 92% of the world has smartphones now, go to the Android store or the Apple store, download the NHTSA app, the NHTSA app, and then when you download it, put in your vehicle identification number, that 17-digit number, and what it will do is it'll track if your vehicle's been recalled. So it'll say, oh, your vehicle's been recalled. You should go get this done. My Hyundai got a secondary recall. Hyundais with keys were fairly easy to steal, and it had something more to do with social media. You could go in and smash the ignition and you could start it. And they were showing people starting it with a USB drive, which was dumb. Anything would turn the ignition at that point. But you'd have to literally smash the column to do it. So they came in and they put a anti-theft software kit in, and now they've come up with a hardened metal piece that fits around the ignition column, so it further prevents that from happening. So if you own own a Hyundai that starts with a key, you can call your dealer and they'll go put this hardened thing in. And I've never thought about it, probably never have it done. So, but the NHTSA website is really handy for that kind of stuff. And if you just have a complaint, you can file it there. So, download the NHTSA app. It's good to do. Why don't we take a quick break? My name's John Paul. This is the Car Doctor program. Don't know what happened to our guest other than hope he's okay. You're listening to the Car Doctor program at 95.9 WATD. We'll be right back.
Even car geeks and do-it-yourselfers rely on AAA to give them extra peace of mind on the road. AAA offers 24/7 roadside assistance, whether you're in your own vehicle, a friend's car, or even a rental. Combine that with great rates on insurance, hotel, gas, and dining savings, and discounts on 8,700 brands, and you're covered on and off the road. Get a special membership offer today at AAA.com/join. That's AAA.com/join.
Hey, this is Kylie Evans. Tune into Twilight Showcase Radio, hosted by Sandy Stride and Keith James on 95.9 WATD and also at 95.9WATD.com. Search for Twilight Showcase on Facebook and visit twilightshowcase.org.
Twilight Showcase, tonight from 8 to 10 on 95.9 WATD.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs to keep mixers, conveyors, and packaging equipment moving. With Grainger's vast selection of bearings, belts, and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hi, it's Zoe, personal stylist at Macy's. If you're like, what am I wearing on this trip? To this wedding? To brunch? Your timing's perfect. Our best brands are all 30% off. I'll pull some great pieces that are made for you, so you'll show up confident, looking amazing. Plus, 15 off designer beauty and fragrance. Sign up for Star Rewards and earn even faster at Macy's Friends and Family. Going on now. Savings off regular and already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Hey there, folks. It's Quinn Kelly reminding you to tune in Sunday night at 5 for the South Shore's first voice in sports talk radio, The Sports Exchange. Unmatched coverage of local high school action, as well as a relatable voice on all things Boston Pro Sports. We've got you covered live at 5 every Sunday night. Have a question for our host, missed last week's show, or just want to share a great sports story? You can find us on Twitter at SE on WATD. But remember, mark your calendar, folks, and we'll see you Sunday night at 5 for the Sports Exchange on 95.9 WATD.
Honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. He's John Paul, the Car Doctor, on 95.9 WATD.
Well, we're just about out of time, but we have Mike in Revere. Mike, if you can make it real quick.
Real quick, Doc. Good morning. I have an E450 22 model year sedan. I was told that the tail light assembly, one of the bulbs seems to be out, one of the flash indicators on the dash. Yep. I was told it needed to replace the whole assembly. How difficult of a job is that?
Well, yeah, it's if because it's an LED style bulb, the whole thing's got to come out. It's probably, and I'm just guessing, but it probably also needs to be reprogrammed once you put it back in. So you're probably looking at a decent amount of time to get it done. I would check, visually first to make sure that there's no kind of wiring problem or anything going on that showed up in there. But it can take time because
the light periodically comes up on the dash. It hasn't stayed on. I'll wait till it stays on at that car.
Yeah,
that's what you get for buying a Mercedes.
Well, no, that's what you get for buying a new car sometimes. That's the way it works. All right.
Thanks.
All right, take care, Mike. Yeah. All right, bye-bye. Well, that music means we need to go, and, taillights can get stupid expensive on cars today, and there's all, it's... But I would check with your dealer just to make sure, Mike. Some of these had taillight issues where they were getting wet, and that could cause a problem. And they came up with a technical bulletin for that. That music means we need to go. Until next week, make sure you wear your seatbelt, drive safely, be good to your car, and if you do see an emergency vehicle by the side of the road, slow down and move over. It saves lives. Talk to you all next week. Bye-bye.